Maria's secret box. Maria had a secret, and her secret was a small wooden box. This box was not a big box, it was a very small box, small enough to hold in two hands. The box was old. It was made of dark brown wood. The wood was smooth. Maria liked to touch the smooth wood. The box sat on a high shelf in her room. It sat next to her books. Every day, Maria looked at the box. She looked at it in the morning when the sun came in her window. The sun made the box look warm. She looked at it in the afternoon when she did her homework. The box was quiet and still. She looked at it at night before she went to sleep. The moon made the box look mysterious and special. No one else knew about her box. It was only for her. It was her best secret. The box had a small lock on the front. The lock was made of old, yellow metal. It was not shiny metal, it was dull metal. It looked very old, like the box. To open the box, Maria needed a key. The key was also very small. It was a tiny, delicate key. Today, Maria wanted to open the box. It was a special day. It was a quiet Saturday. She had no school. She had no homework. The house was quiet. Her mother was in the garden. Her father was reading a book in the living room. It was the perfect time to look inside her secret box. She stood on her small chair to get the box from the high shelf. As she reached up with her hands. Her fingers touched the cool wood of the box. She was very careful. She did not want to drop it. She held it with both hands and stepped down from the chair. She held the box close to her chest. It felt important. It felt like holding a little bird. She walked to her bed and sat down. She put the box on her soft, blue blanket. The dark brown box looked very nice on the blue blanket. Now she needed the key. Where was the key? Maria tried to remember. She always put the key in a very safe place, a very secret place. She stood up and started to look for the key. First, she looked on her desk. Her desk had a lamp, some pens, and a notebook. She looked behind the lamp. The key was not there. She looked under the notebook. The key was not there. She opened the drawer of her desk. The drawer had paper and crayons. She moved the papers. She moved the red crayon and the blue crayon and the green crayon. The key was not in the drawer. She closed the drawer gently. Okay, so the key was not on her desk. Where else could it be? She looked at her bookshelf. The bookshelf had many books. There were storybooks with pictures of animals. There were books about stars and planets. The box was on this shelf, but where was the key? She had a favorite book. It was a book about a friendly dragon. She took the book from the shelf. She opened the book. She looked at the pages. Sometimes she put small things inside her books. She looked at every page. Page 1, no key. Page 2, no key. Page 3, no key. She looked all the way to the end of the book. The key was not in the book. She put the book back on the shelf, right in its place. She thought again. Think, Maria, think. Where did you put the small, old key? She looked under her bed. It was a little dark under her bed. She saw a lost sock. She saw a little dust. She saw a small toy car she lost last week, but she did not see the key. The key was not under her bed. She started to feel a little bit worried, just a little. What if she lost the key? The box was no good without the key. A locked box is just a block of wood. The secret was inside, and she needed the key to see it. She sat on the floor and took a deep breath. In and out, in and out. She closed her eyes. She thought about the last time she opened the box. It was a long time ago. It was in the summer. The sun was hot. The window was open. She could hear birds singing. Yes, she remembered now. As she had the box and the key, she opened the box. She looked at her treasures. Then she closed the box and locked it. She locked it with the small key. Then, what did she do with the key? She thought very, very hard. She remembered walking. She remembered walking out of her room. She went downstairs. She went to the back door. She opened the back door and went into the garden. The garden? The key was in the garden. She remembered now. She had a special hiding place in the garden. She smiled. She was not worried anymore. She was happy. She knew where the key was. She stood up. She walked out of her room. She went down the stairs, step by step. 1, 2, 3, 4. She went to the back door. She put her hand on the cold door handle. She turned it and pulled the door open. The bright sun made her blink. The garden was beautiful. Her mother was there, watering the red flowers. The red flowers were very bright. There were yellow flowers and white flowers too. A small bee was flying around the yellow flowers. "Hello, Maria," her mother said. She smiled. "Hello, Mom," Maria said. "What are you doing?" her mother asked. "Just playing," Maria said. It was not a lie. This was a game for her, a secret game. She walked on the soft green grass. The grass felt cool under her feet. She walked past the red flowers. She walked past the yellow flowers. She walked to the back of the garden. At the back of the garden, there was a very big old tree. It was an oak tree. Its leaves were big and green. Its trunk was thick and strong. This was her favorite tree. This was the place. She went to the big tree. She looked at the bottom of the tree trunk. There were many roots. The roots were like big wooden fingers going into the earth. She knew this tree very well. She knew every bump and every line on its bark. She looked for a special spot. Yes, there it was. There was a small, flat stone next to one of the big roots. The stone was gray and smooth. It looked like all the other stones, but Maria knew it was different. She knelt on the grass. She put her fingers on the edge of the stone. She wiggled it a little. It was not heavy. She lifted the stone. Under the stone, there was a small hole in the dirt. And in the small hole, there was something small and gold. It was the key. The small, old, delicate key. It was safe. It was waiting for her. She picked up the key. It felt cool from the earth. She held it in her hand. It was so small, but so important. She closed her fingers around it to keep it safe. She put the flat stone back over the hole. Now the hiding place was a secret again. She stood up, holding the key very tightly in her fist. She did not want to drop it. She did not want to lose it now. She said goodbye to the big old tree. She walked back across the garden. She walked on the green grass. She walked past the pretty flowers. Her mother was still watering the flowers. "Did you find your game?" her mother asked. "Yes," Maria said, and she smiled a big smile. She went back inside the house. She closed the back door. She walked up the stairs, back to her room. Her heart was beating a little fast now. She was excited. She went into her room and closed the door. She was alone again with her secret. The box was still on her bed. It was waiting for her. She walked to the bed and sat down. She opened her hand. The small key was there. It was safe. She looked at the key. It was a pretty key. It was the color of dark honey. It had a small circle at the top to hold it, and a small, simple shape at the bottom to open the lock. She picked up the box. She held it in one hand. She held the key in the other hand. It was time. She looked at the small lock on the front of the box. There was a tiny hole in the lock, a keyhole. She carefully put the key into the keyhole. It fit perfectly. It went in smoothly. Her hand was very steady. She turned the key. She turned it to the right. It was a little stiff because it was old. She turned it a little more. Then she heard a sound. It was a very quiet sound. It was a click. The lock was open. Maria felt a little shiver of excitement. The secret was ready. She took the key out of the lock and put it on the blanket next to her. She put her fingers on the lid of the box. She lifted it up very, very slowly. She did not want to rush. This was a special moment. The lid opened without a sound. It was a good box. Now she could see inside. What was in Maria's secret box? It was not full of gold. It was not full of jewels. It was full of small, simple things. But for Maria, these things were treasures. They were more important than gold. First, she saw a shell. It was a small, white shell. It was spiral-shaped, like a little staircase. She picked up the shell. It was smooth and a little cold. She held it to her ear. She could not really hear the ocean, but she pretended she could. She remembered when she found this shell. She was at the beach with her mother and her father. The sun was warm on her skin. The sand was hot under her feet. The water was blue and sparkly. She walked along the edge of the water, and she saw this perfect little shell. Her father told her it was a special shell. She put it in her pocket to keep it safe. Now, it was safe in her box. This shell was a memory of a happy day with her family. She smiled and put the shell gently back on the soft cloth inside the box. Next to the shell, there was a feather. It was a small, bright blue feather. It was very soft. She picked it up. It was so light, it almost floated in her hand. She remembered the day she found this feather. A little bluebird made a nest in the big oak tree in her garden, her special tree. Every morning, she watched the bird. The bird sang a beautiful song. One day, when she was playing near the tree, she found this feather on the grass. It was a gift from the little bird. The feather was a memory of the bird's beautiful song. She gently touched the feather to her cheek. It was so soft. She put the feather back in the box next to the shell. Then she saw a stone. It was not a normal stone. It was a very smooth, flat, gray stone. It was shaped almost like a heart. She picked up the stone. It felt cool and heavy in her hand. It was very pleasant to hold. She found this stone by the river. She was with her older brother, Leo. They were skipping stones on the water. Leo was very good at it. His stones went hop, hop, hop across the water. Her stones just went plunk and sank, but she did not care. She was having fun. Then she saw this stone on the ground. It was the perfect shape. She showed it to Leo. He said it was her lucky stone. She did not skip this stone. She put it in her pocket. The stone was a memory of a fun day with her brother. She put the smooth stone back in the box. Beside the stone, there was something shiny. It was an old coin. It was not a normal coin for buying things. It was a foreign coin. It had a picture of a ship on one side and a man with a beard on the other side. The coin was a gift from her grandfather. Her grandfather traveled to many places when he was young. He told her many stories about his travels. One day, he gave her this coin. He said it was from a country far, far away, across the big ocean. He told her to keep it, and maybe one day she would travel too. The coin was a memory of her grandfather and his wonderful stories. She rubbed the coin with her thumb and put it back in the box. There was one more thing at the bottom of the box. It was a small, pressed flower. It was a white daisy. It was very delicate and dry. The petals were like thin paper. She had to be very careful with it. She remembered picking this flower from a big field of daisies. She was with her grandmother. Her grandmother showed her how to press the flower inside a big, heavy book. They put the daisy between two pieces of paper and closed the book. They waited for many weeks. When they opened the book again, the flower was flat and dry and perfect. Her grandmother said it would last forever now. The flower was a memory of her kind grandmother and a sunny afternoon in a field of flowers. She looked at the little daisy for a long time. It was so beautiful. She placed it back in the box with great care. That was everything. A shell, a feather, a stone, a coin, and a flower. These were her secrets. They were not just things. The shell was a happy day. The feather was a beautiful song. The stone was a fun afternoon. The coin was an exciting story, and the flower was a warm memory of her grandmother. The box was full of love. Maria looked at all her treasures together in the box. They were all safe. They were all quiet, but they all told a story to her. She felt very calm and very happy. A warm feeling filled her chest. It was time to close the box. The secrets needed to rest. She put the lid back on the box. She closed it gently. Then she picked up the small, old key from the blanket. She put the key back into the lock. She turned it to the left. She heard the click sound again. The box was locked. The secret was safe inside again. She held the box for a moment. It felt a little heavier now, full of all the good feelings. She stood up and walked back to the bookshelf. She stood on her chair again. She reached up, up, up. She placed the box back in its special place on the high shelf next to her books. It looked just the same as before. A simple, old wooden box. No one would know what was inside. No one would know the stories it held. But Maria knew. Now, what to do with the key? She could not leave it on her bed. She could not put it in her drawer. It needed to go back to its secret hiding place. She picked up the key from the blanket and closed her hand around it again. She went out of her room, down the stairs, and back to the garden door. She opened the door and stepped outside. The sun was a little lower in the sky now. Her mother was sitting on a bench, reading a book. "Are you going back to the tree?" her mother asked with a knowing smile. Maria just smiled back. She walked across the soft grass back to the big old oak tree. She knelt down again. She found the flat, gray stone. She lifted it. The small, dark hole was there. She placed the key inside the hole. It looked safe and cozy in the earth. She put the stone back on top. She patted the stone one time, like saying good night. The key was safe. The box was safe. Her memories were safe. She walked back to the house, feeling light and happy. She went to her room. She looked up at the shelf. The box was there. It was her secret keeper. And Maria knew her small box was not just full of things, it was full of love.